Hold on,
I don't know anything about gas.
Here.
Oh, okay. I need someone for burgers and dogs.
Got this part of the video. You've got the live unedited edition. Home Gadget Geeks, Thursday nights, April 16th, or some are saying March 45th. You just want to, if you want to do it that way, it's kind of hard to tell like what month we're in. nobody really knows.
Oh, I love that.
We want to welcome you to the live program, Home Gadget Geeks. If you're coming out for the very first time, welcome. We do this every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out at theaverageguy.tv/live. If you are on our live page, so if you look up here and it says theaverageguy.tv/live, right, I think below the video is a link to the YouTube instance where there's a chat room, and we'd really love to have you there. So just click on that link. It'll take you to the YouTube instance, and either to the right or down below, whatever that is, there is a chat room that's available for you. It might be below the video window. It might be to the right of it. And there's 3 little dots. Click those and pop it out. You can put it anywhere on your screen. And we are heavy on the chat room, so we'd love to have you come out and join us. I see a bunch of the regulars out there and some new folks. Curtis, who has the reason I was late is because I was chatting with Curtis beforehand. He's a coworker of mine, and one of the guys that really helps me out. You know, been doing Home Gadget Geeks for a long time, but at work when we started doing Call to Coach, that got out of hand pretty fast as far as what we do. And Curtis, a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago now, maybe, Curtis jumped in and started doing all my tech calls for me. So he does all the calls the guests, make sure their audio is working great. So by the time I get them, they are just set up success. And so I was chatting with him tonight. He's like, you know what? Tonight's the night I'm going to come out and listen to Home Gadget Geeks. So Curtis, welcome. Good to see you out here. I see Joe, Chris, Justin is out there. John, welcome. Tony, who did a bang-up job on the show last week, is out there. Mike, did you want to say something?
No, I was just gonna say. So we've got a lot of our regulars out here, but I want to know if people find we don't usually do an @ everyone in the Discord. When you do @ everyone, it alerts everyone. Hey, someone just posted something, and I just did an @ everyone, given the link of the show. I'm wondering if that helps any of you. If you're like, oh, hey, cool, like that alert helps you. It's right there. It's right to the YouTube page where you can watch it. Because I did the YouTube page because on mobile, if you're good on the phone, you can click right in. It opens up your YouTube app. So let me know if that helps you out or if it doesn't. I don't want to annoy you guys with @ everyone's on Discord. I personally hate them in some of my Discords because people abuse them, but I don't think we use them pretty much ever on our Discord. So maybe just on Thursdays for the live show, we can start utilizing that feature for you guys who are out there.
Yeah, just to kind of notify you. If you
it's one other notification method, right? Because I know my YouTube notifications don't work at all. So I kind of like seeing it over there.
If you're not doing it, right below in YouTube down there is a subscription button. You would subscribe to the live page. Every time we go live, you get a notification. Sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. It just kind of depends what you block and where it goes and those kinds of things. Yeah. But that's the way to do it. The other thing, I don't ask this a lot, but if you click on the like button down there, that actually helps us get more discovery in YouTube. So if you like what we do here, maybe you're a regular. If you're the first timer, it's like going to church the first time. Don't give the first Sunday you go. You got to check the place out, right? But so no there. But if you're a regular, hit the like button down there, and that helps us kind of get discovered. Mike, we've been covering beers from Open Road Brewery out of Wayland, Michigan. Andy Coffee sent us these brews. Pretty good if you haven't seen them yet. If you've been a regular to the show, we're on week 3 of 5 of those beers. By the way, if you want to send us a beer to try or taste on the show during the pour section, you can just send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv, and I'm not worried about the COVID stuff. So put it in a box, ship it to us, and we'd love to give it a try if you want to do that. Andy sent those over to us. Today we're looking at Kilt Lifter. It's their red ale, their Irish red ale, 6%. And it's a whiskey Irish red. Mike is showing that there. Yeah, really unique, right? They write on the cans. So we want to give this an open pour. That's
6.0 ABV. And mine was brewed still less than a month ago.
Yeah.
Brewed on 320 or maybe canned on
yeah,
320. I'd say call it canned on 320.
Probably. Ooh, that is a nice red.
That
we got going in there.
It looks good. Smells good. I'm a big smell guy.
You gonna do?
I'm not gonna glass it because I forgot a glass.
Oh, we got to get your beer glass down there.
I do.
Well,
I let you do the pour. I'm a can guy.
Andy,
Jim,
thank you, because he's saving me from the emergency beer that's down here. And so Andy, thank you. Listen, we only have 2 weeks left on Andy's beer. Save me. Don't make me drink Bud Light, for God's sakes.
Oh gosh, you guys have 2 weeks to send in beer. Please save our souls.
It's a little darker. Like it's a little darker on camera than it would be in person. So it's kind of a red, a delicious red. Mark, what's your favorite brew? If you were to pick a beer, what's your go-to?
I'm drinking a lot of craft. Trying to pick one is hard. I like strong IPAs and I like sours right now.
Okay. All right.
So I got some. I did a 12-pack of home delivery yesterday, where it was you pay the guy $50 and he gives you 12 beer and you don't know what you're getting until you get it.
Wow.
But delivered to your house.
Yeah, 50 for 12. So a couple bucks each.
$4 each, which is what we pay. I pay about $3.85 to $4.05
Canadian dollars. We're talking
Canadian.
So it's like triple what we pay in the United States for everything.
This one's Brew Revolution Island in the Sun Northeast IPA, but a light at 6.9 IBU.
That's high.
6.9. No, it's 6.9 ABV and 6.9 IBU.
Okay.
Oh,
so not very
low.
bitter, but high alcohol.
Yeah. 6.9 is good. Mike, what do you think? What's your initial thoughts on the kilt lifter?
Well, I'll say this: reds in general are always my favorite. It's probably my favorite style of beer of them all. So this should come as no surprise. This is my favorite of the batch that we've had so far. This is more mainstream, I would call it, than a lot of the other ones we've tried. I think the other ones have been a lot more different, right? I haven't tried anything like this. This one, how do you get one more sip? It's not unique, but it's really well done, right? Like it's not something like, oh man, they've hit something on here that I haven't tried before. But it's tasty. It's very good.
It's got a really good finish to it. Like,
yes, I was gonna say not bitter, not sweet either. Just which is what I think that's what I like about reds, Jim. Is reds traditionally don't have a really strong bitterness. They're not super sweet. They're kind of right there in the middle, and man, it's good.
Yeah. If you're new to the show, by the way, we've been opening with a beer pick. We'll get to the tech here. Actually, tonight's all barbecue, so if you're here for the tech, we'll talk a little bit of tech. We're mostly going to talk meat. Let's just be really clear. But they say in the notes, they say a whiskey Irish red, and I'm kind of wondering if it's been maybe if there's a whiskey finish on it in some
or maybe
some
whiskey barrels. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not getting a whiskey finish to it.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see where that comes in.
It's a cleaner, like it's not it's not thick like you would get out of a normal beer. It's kind of a really, but it's not light and crisp. It's kind of a back of your tongue kind of bite to it. That's pretty delicious.
And I will say the flavor profile goes well with it. I've been doing Moscow Mules, so that's my other drink tonight is a Moscow Mule. It pairs actually surprisingly well. Usually beer and Moscow Mules is kind of a weird mix. You get a weird taste in your mouth. This one, I'm actually enjoying more almost with that still the vodka and ginger beer taste to it.
Well, this would be a good one. This is kind of a good. I mean, this would pair with a steak.
Oh,
this could pair with some
pulled pork,
chicken, pulled pork,
barbecue.
We're gonna talk a bunch about that tonight. I could think of some pulled pork and maybe some roasted potatoes would be a really good pairing on that. So Andy, thanks for sending those over. If you have a beer you want us to try or a brewery and you want us to give it a try, send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv, and we can make that work. Andy, thanks for sending those over, and big thanks to Open Road Brewery for making those for us. So we appreciate it. Let's see. What else? I think we're good. Mike, hold on. Let me show this. No, I don't have it up. I don't have the Discord group. Do you have the Discord group up?
Yeah.
Can you go to the cigar section? We're not going to talk about cigars, but
I sure can.
Would you share your screen and would you show the picture of Omaha that I posted in there just a few minutes ago? Mark, do you guys have any snow up there?
We had some 2 days ago, and it was cold today. Yeah, we didn't have that much.
We got 3-4
within the matter of like 3 to 4 hours, and it's still coming down. I am shocked how much snow we have gotten.
Yeah,
we got another week of this before we start hitting regularly above 0 temperatures.
Okay, all right. Well,
see, but that's the odd part for us. A few days ago, 70 degrees, no joke, 67, 70 degrees, perfectly sunny, beautiful. We're out in shorts, riding our bikes. Like Nebraska, this is Nebraska, and then we're back to this, and then tomorrow, actually, I think this weekend we're back up to mid 60s, and next week all 70s. So it's just a little blip in the radar. where they decided to
I
dump
know.
7 inches of snow. I think there are some areas, Jim, close to us that are expecting about a foot of snow from
Really?
this from this storm. Missouri Valley area.
Is it
And
still snowing right now?
it's, I can't tell. Oh, let me look at my security cameras. Yes.
I guess I have one of those.
Yes,
too.
it is.
Oh, ooh, I
We-
could show this. Hold on. Go
We
ahead,
haven't
Mark.
hit above 52 yet this year.
You live in Canada. That's expected.
I got summer toys I want to get out.
There's okay. Not joking. This is not a shot of my porch from December. This is
The timestamp.
Bellevue, Nebraska. Right. 4:16, 8 o'clock. This is my front porch. Like, this is stupid.
And
just
this is the
dumb.
biggest snow we've had all year, except
know.
for, you know what the funny fact is, Jim? It's been so warm. You can tell it's been warm because look at our sidewalks. You did not shovel.
No.
Shoveled.
No.
Nothing is sticking to
know.
pavement.
We
It's
just
all on the
had cra- we
grass
just
and on the non-pavement.
Yeah.
Pavement's
Just
so warm
crazy.
it won't stick, which is great. Actually, almost like the perfect snow. You get to enjoy the snow without having to go out and like shovel and snow blow.
Yeah, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just leaving. I'm not going to shovel. Not
There's no
on this
need to.
one.
It's not sticking.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for coming out. About 10 after. That's a little bit of pre-show for you. Well, let's get started. Hopefully, you've come with maybe some grill questions. We're going to have some beginner stuff from me. Mark is going to bring some more advanced stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about the economics of smoking. Can I call it big meat? Is that too? Can
Large
I call it
cuts.
that?
Large cuts.
I like big meat.
And I've got a year in review of using my fully digital Wi-Fi
Oh,
beat thermometer.
sweet. Yeah.
So
And
I had
yeah.
initial thoughts last year. Now I have a year in, and it's
Okay.
gotten better. If you don't believe it, so
All right, let me open this thing up. Appreciate you guys coming out tonight, jumping in the chat room. Ryan, good to see you. Andrew is out there. Ron, good to see you. Joe's checking in. I saw John checking in earlier, as well as Justin. Justin sent us some cigars, by the way, Mike. I got some Cubans from
I am
Justin.
so down for
I know.
that.
We just need to get.
We need
together.
not quarantined.
Well, we could smoke.
We're
6
less
feet.
than 6 people.
6 feet apart, right? And we are, so we could do it. We could totally do it. All right, let me kick this thing off. Here we go. This is the Average Guy Network, and you've found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 441, recorded on April 16th, 2020. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios. And here, Mike, a snowy Bellevue, Nebraska, I think with 4 to 6 inches, maybe in a weird freak spring snowstorm. Are you going to go out and build any? It's perfect snowman snow, right? The kids get out there?
The boys and I went out after dinner and we threw some snowballs at the stop sign. We always have a competition. Obviously, theirs aren't going very far at 3 and 2, but they like building it. And then they say it's free ice cream because we package it with a snowball and they walk inside and they eat it all night. And tonight's snow, that wet, dense snow, is perfect for some free ice cream.
Super, super good for that. Mark, do you guys still have snow on the ground up there? You're up in
No.
Canada? No?
No,
So-
it was gone as of last week.
Okay, and nothing coming. Hopefully, you got better weather coming too.
We do. We'll get another week of this cold stuff. Like today, it was just about freezing. And a week from now, they're saying it's going to be 4 or 5 degrees above zero minimums.
Yeah, don't
So
use
finally-
Celsius. We don't know what that's. That's
That's why I base it on freezing.
we don't know what any of that stuff means. We're Americans. We don't understand.
Times by 9 divided by 15 plus
It's a weird
35. Like, isn't that the?
It's a weird formula.
It's
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, it's
just
Google.
or Hey Siri or whatever. Of course, we post the show with world-class show notes. And this time, if you're listening to the audio, you probably want to come out and watch the video on YouTube. We do have video RSS feeds. I haven't said this in a long time, but I have a video large and a video small. If that's something you want, I'd always encourage people to watch it on YouTube. But I had some listeners say, hey, can I just download the video? And okay, I guess that's okay. So all of that is available at theaverageguy.tv/subscribe if you want to get it done that way. You can also join us live on our mobile app, a great way to join us each and every week. Easiest way to find us live, by the way. Go to homegadgetgeeks.com. There's a big Android and iPhone button. Just choose those, download it. Put it on your phone. Always have it in case of an emergency. And we thank our Patreon subscribers who help pay for that each and every month. Big thanks last week, John, Spencer, Unraid, Mike, maybe the most popular show we've had. I'm not going to lie. It was crazy what all the conversation that went on in Discord and Twitter about it this week.
You know, the prep for this week's show has been enjoyable. I'll say that.
Yeah. So we so big thanks to John and Spencer who joined us from Unraid.
Oh, sorry.
Gosh.
I was already thinking about this week about last week about Unraid.
Well, how many people were in Discord started a new Unraid build this week?
3 or 4 for
yes.
sure. Yeah.
And some pretty powerful Unraid builds.
Yeah, John, I think, wins for biggest and baddest build. He posted his new specs for the build he's building now. He just put it in the order today. Yeah, I was gonna say go big or go home. Puts all of us to shame, I think, with his new setup. But no, last week I think sparked a lot of good conversation. I've been enjoying a lot of you guys in the Unraid channel on Discord, asking questions, talking about tips and tricks. I think everyone's just been helping everyone out there. I know John got a lot of good tips from everyone on his build, on what he ordered. I think a lot of other people have been posting questions. So love the talk out there. So keep putting it out there. If you guys are interested in Unraid, use that channel out there. Post questions, anything. Talk about it.
Mark, have you you got Unraid running anywhere?
Dual.
Dual? What does that mean?
I have 2 Unraid servers.
Well, I knew dual meant 2, but I was.
No, I have. When I first got an Unraid, it was like 6.2, I think, and I had a package where you bought one for $80 and you got a second for 100, like $20 more. It was almost like buy one get one at 30%.
Yeah.
So I bought 2. I set one up right away, ran it for about a year and a bit, upgraded the processor, ran it again, got the second one running as a backup using completely spare parts I had around the house, so I could back up my wife's pictures on multiple systems. And then the second one hasn't been ran in probably 3 years, but the primary just got upgraded again to the Pro, so I can have unlimited drives on it. It's running now a Xeon 24 gig of RAM, 2 HBA cards. And now a 1060 to do folding at home, but eventually do encoding, transcoding.
Nice. Yeah.
And I love that Lopta too he's like on the opposite end, right? He's doing like, okay,
Atom power for Celeron.
Yeah, Atom. It's an Atom 230 board that he's running it on, and I agree. So we have people on all ends of the spectrum doing like, hey, what can I run this thing on? Like, what are the min specs? And I think Lopta hit out of the park with that one. Yeah. And then you got like John over here building like more powerful, 10 times more powerful than like the rig I'm podcasting on right now for his Unraid build. So the community here is so much fun because they're doing all sorts of builds. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, it has been good, and I've enjoyed the conversation. It always sparks a lot of excitement when we do that. And so, by the way, the contest that's going on, if you want one of those Unraid, what do we call the stickers? They're not pillows, but they're badges. That's what they're called. For your box, take a picture of what you're building, even if you're in the midst of it, John. Take some pictures, be creative. I'll be selecting some of the best pictures out. Jump on Twitter. Send me an Unraid official an email with the not an email, a tweet. There we go, with the picture. That beer is coming fast.
I was gonna say, I jumped to this week's show when you were talking about last week's show. So you know what? Let's just reset and we'll start now.
How strong is that beer?
I don't know. It's
only a 6%. That's the sad part.
Stronger than I anticipated. So take a picture, send it to us on Twitter. Copy me, put Unraid official on there, and I'll be selecting a few of those. In Unraid, we'll be sending those out. So thanks to John and Spencer for doing that as well. We appreciate that. Of course, Tony Rayner joined us as well last week. Tony, thanks for jumping in and being a part of the show. We always appreciate it. All right.
He started a new build too.
He
just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
He just started a new build this week, I think, or he's going to do it after he was done with his seven days on. So I think he actually just started though. I think he's running it on a NUC. Is what he said. So excited. Everyone has started Unraid builds after last week, and it makes me very, very happy inside.
No, it's super great. Ryan, who's been on the show before, says, same here, Brian. Can't decide if I want to stick on VMware or build an Unraid. And the answer is both. You do both. That's just
what?
Ryan, you got a bunch of equipment there.
That's true.
You could totally do that. Yeah. And so like this stuff, it gets insane pretty fast as we think about what's available out there. But anyways, if you missed last week's show, it's probably worth going back to. From here on out, it's going to be all barbecue. So that'll set the tech aside. Well, Mike's going to bring some tech in as we talk about it. But Mark, good to have you back on. Good to catch up with you. Welcome to Home Gadget Geeks.
Thank you. I think it's my 5th or 6th.
I think so. I'm going to owe you a T-shirt here pretty quick, I think, for this. We always bring you on to talk about it. In the past, we've had Mike Howard on as well. Of course, Mike's not feeling well, and so our thoughts and prayers go out to Mike as he's battling cancer. Mark, we always reach out to you. I always see your stuff coming in. Twitter, on Facebook, and just some of the stuff that we do, and it's always super delicious. One of the things I wanted to kind of lead with tonight, because we're in the middle of this COVID-19 situation, and many of us been isolated or on lockdown or in quarantine, whatever you want to call it. And I don't know about you, but for me, like, my cooking has gone to a whole different level because my wife is still working. She's still going out. She's in healthcare. She's still going out and doing the things that she needs to do. And so my daughter and I have kind of taken over the cooking responsibilities. And so I've begun to think a little bit more now about what we're eating. But as before, I was kind of like, oh, what's for dinner? It's kind of the knucklehead caveman, what's for dinner? And over the last couple of years, I've gotten more and more involved in that. We've always looked at this idea of grilling and smoking, and as I've always thought, kind of a premium experience. But in all actuality, it might be actually the most economic way to look at meat when we think about it in bulk. Agree or disagree with me, Mark, on that? Can it be economy in large quantities?
It depends on the cuts of meat you're getting, but most of the stuff, like barbecue, originated by cooking low and slow because they were cheap cuts of tough meat. It's evolved now, so that's not. It's like chicken wings used to be a penny a piece, right? Now they're not. Now you're paying $10 for 10 wings. Like, it's the stuff that was the offshoot is now the high end stuff. Lobster used to be garbage. Now it's top of the line. So buying a cut of meat like a pot roast or a pork shoulder or a brisket used to be the really tough long pieces that you had to braise and you had to cook really slowly for a long time. They're still, some of the cuts are still cheap, but then you're finding other stuff like you're getting into there's a type of raising a pork where they're calling it's the pork. The pig always has a happy life. Like they're doing this thing where it's the heritage pork where you're paying $15 a pound for the pork shoulder.
Okay.
You get that stuff, it's going to make it expensive. The stuff I'm buying typically is $3 a pound Canadian, which is like $1.50 for you guys, or $2 for you guys.
And if I were looking for a couple cuts of meat, just right off the top of your head, what today? And I was going to get, I wanted to jump into this. What are some good cuts to start with?
You can always find pork shoulder on sale.
Okay.
Like Mike can vouch for what he paid for it because he did one the other day. I think we typically try and get them for $3 a pound. Around Chinese New Year, we can get them for $1 a pound. We bought them before at $1 a pound and put them in the freezer, and then pull them out in the summer. Just wrap them up and foil and saran wrap, and pull them out in the summer and fire them up. And like I've done a 19-pound pork shoulder before. Brisket I get for about $5 a pound, and that you lose about 25% to trimming. Then you probably lose about another 20% to just evaporation, but you're still paying about $1.50 or $2 a pound for what people are going to eat. So we'll get like a 19-pound brisket, trim it down to 16-ish pounds, and walk away with about 12 pounds. And jerky I get I do jerky. I buy about 15 pounds at a time. I trim about 3 pounds off, and I end up with about 6 pounds of cured jerky.
Now, when you say you're buying jerky, like I've never really understood this, and maybe others haven't either. What kind of, is that special meat you're buying just for that? We're going to talk about it a little bit later, but what are you buying to make jerky?
I have round.
Okay.
Either I have round or outside round. And
you've got a picture. Let's see if we can get to that. Go ahead.
So that's one of them. That's the trimmed out ones.
And what's it called?
Eye of round or outside round.
Okay.
And that's let me see if I can actually rotate this. It's not going to work, is it? Yeah. So that's what we call it in Canada, but the Canadian butchers and the U.S. butchers have different terminology. Mm-hmm. But we pay about $3 a pound for that, so it's pretty cheap.
And when I think of jerky, I think of that's got to be one of the longest cooks you do. Is that right? Or is it more higher heat, shorter?
No, it's about 5 or 6 hours per batch.
And you're just slicing it super thin? Is that the thing, or what?
So let me see if I can find some. There's the peppers I put into it. That's how thin it goes. So that's my jerky rack's about to go on. So they're about a 1/4 inch thick when you start off.
So you're getting the meat whole. You're cutting it down to a 1/4 of an inch, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Marinating it.
Yep.
And then cooking it for about 5 or 6 hours at 250.
How long in the marinade?
2 or 3 days if you want to.
Okay.
The recipe I call for is a day, but you can do 2 or 3 days.
Do you make your own marinade? Or do you buy a brand of it? Can you buy a brand? Can you just buy?
Well, the brand
like a teriyaki.
You can. This is made. This is called Dr. Pepper jerky. And there's a girl who has a recipe online for it. But if you do a search for Dr. Pepper jerky, it's Dr. Pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, a couple other things. Those are the peppers I put into it. And then the first time I made it in the house, my wife came home after the stuff was marinating. And it was it basically made a pepper spray in the house. So she walked in and started coughing. So I wasn't allowed to do it in the house anymore. So now what I do is I reduce down the sauce, because that's one of the key things. You have to reduce down the sauce. I reduce it down, and then I chop peppers up and put them in raw. I don't bother boiling them with it to reduce them down with it. And then I put in some stupid hot sauce on top of that. So it makes jerky that's, you got to be pepperhead to like it.
Okay. So
I bring it to work and it's safe.
You could, you could make a version of that that's not necessarily hot and spicy, right? That way you could.
Well, the Dr. Pepper jerky normally is not.
Okay.
I've made it. I've cranked it up to the point where I like it.
Yeah.
And it puts a sweat on I like peppers and it puts a sweat on my forehead. But the standard stuff, the standard recipe is not spicy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
so my mouth water just like looking at that and hearing you talking about like the hotness of it. I'm a huge hot fan as well. Oh man, it's making my mouth water.
And you think about what you pay for jerky. Jerky is expensive.
Extremely expensive for like the tiniest amount of jerky too.
Yeah, so I'm doing 6 pounds of jerky, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it was costing me what's this? So it was say $40 in meat, and about another $7 or $8 in stuff. So about probably about $30 Canadian or US, sorry, complete.
Yeah, right.
And you're getting 6 pounds of homemade jerky.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's less than
a pretty economical way to get it done from
Yep.
that. So you're taking that meat, you're slicing it down, you're showing it on racks.
Yeah.
Right. So you're marinating it first.
Yep.
Then it's going on a rack, right?
Yep.
And then what?
Put it on the barbecue for 5 hours a batch, so I can fit all those 4 racks on my barbecue at once.
Okay.
And when I'm doing it, that I do 2 batches. So those two roasts will give me 2 batches.
Okay.
And then I pull it out and I vacuum seal it in 1.5 pound bags and stick it in the freezer.
Okay.
And then pull out a pound.
Say I didn't have the big grill that you have, but I've just got an average size grill. Maybe
Do it
I
in
could
the oven.
get two racks. I could do it in the oven, but if I wanted to do it on the grill, what kind of temperature would I kind of want to set that
250.
to? 250. And are you adding smoke to it when you're doing it?
No.
Okay. Just straight. Could I if I wanted to?
Yeah.
Could I add smoke if I wanted to?
You could add liquid smoke in the marinade if you wanted to.
Okay. And two and liquid smoke is just a flavor, right? That I'm putting in there to kind of to give it that smoky flavor. We've talked about liquid smoke here before. 250 for how long?
It's a texture more than time.
Okay.
It takes about 5 or 6 hours.
Okay.
But you want it to where you can sort of start pulling it apart. And then the trick is you put it in Ziploc bags, or like I have in bowls here, right there, and just let it air dry a little bit. Because if you put it in a Ziploc bag and close it up, you're going to get all the moisture is going to come back out of the meat and go inside the bags. So let it air dry for an hour or so, and then vacuum seal it, and it freezes fantastic.
Do I have to vacuum seal it? I mean, could I just
you
put
leave
them
it
in
the
bags
fridge
and get as much air out as I can and throw them in, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I vacuum seal it because it keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
So what I typically do is I vacuum seal the bags. When I want to eat it, I pull the bag out, I put it in a Ziploc bag, and I put it in the freezer. And I pull a couple pieces off, let it defrost on the counter for half an hour, then I go and eat it when I want to eat it.
Now, you say a couple pieces. Like, I'm used to jerky. When I buy jerky in the store, it's kind of in strips.
Yeah, it's a different way of cutting it.
We're looking at more at jerky steaks. So do you cut these down into strips then?
No, I'll take a couple of those 1/4 inch round pieces.
Yeah.
So it's about 3 inches diameter by 1/4 inch when you start cooking it, and it's about 1/8 of an inch when it's done. So it's like a little It's like a piece of Canadian bacon. It's like a round disc of jerky.
Okay. And you just tear it right off
Bite it and rip it.
Tear it right off. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mike, what do you think? I want to go make some jerky right
I'm planning out my run tomorrow to Hy-Vee. I'm gonna get the eye of the round, and we're gonna start making some jerky. Probably
Dr.
tomorrow.
Pepper,
Actually, when I
jalapenos.
get back to the boys.
Well, and this is the thing. So pretty economical, a pretty good snack, a pretty good protein snack to have around. And
Low fat, high protein.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
And Mark, one of my thoughts is like, and we said this last week too. Not everybody gets to stay home. Like, and if you're out there and you're in healthcare and you're working and you're in the public, listen, we appreciate what you're doing out there. I never want to give any indication that we're somehow favoring those folks that get to get home or make light of the sacrifice that our folks who go out and are working in the public and spending time helping the public and in healthcare. I mean, you guys are really the heroes through all this. So I don't want to make any light of that. But there are a bunch of people at home at this point who, I'm kind of thinking, this is where I'm at. I'm kind of in lockdown. And the other day I was thinking like, I could easily put something on in the morning and monitor it throughout the day, right? And then get 6 or 7 hours on the smoker, right, Mike?
That's how I've been doing it. I mean, this has been this past week leading up to when you asked me about last week's episode, I answered about this week's. I was talking about how, being quarantined to home. So I was prepping for this week. I'm like, you know what? We got a barbecue all week. So we did. We did a roast. We did pulled pork. What else did we do? I can't remember all. So we did 3 different cooks all week. And it's the same. But yeah, you're right. It's being able to stay at home, be able to monitor it. And just enjoy the smell really is my big thing. I love being able to like, okay, boys, let's go outside for a little bit. Go outside, just breathe it in. There's nothing better. And it fills the neighborhood because I can always tell when my neighbors are smoking because that smell just wafts around. There's nothing better than that smell of, first of all, it's the wood. It's an early cook if you just smell the wood. And then as that meat flavor starts to get in, they're getting closer. You're like, hey, I'm going to head over to that neighbor's house because they've got something good on the grill.
When that pork shoulder was done on, I'm just moving over to it on Sunday. Yeah. So when the pork shoulder was done on Sunday, you couldn't, when you woke up in the morning, it went on at 11 o'clock at night. At 8 o'clock in the morning, we still smelled wood. We didn't smell smoke. It didn't smell the meat yet. We still smelled the smoke. At about 11 o'clock, so about 12 hours in, we started smelling the pork smell coming off the meat.
Yeah.
There's nothing better.
No.
And the other good part about being home too is you get to let it. So this was the first time I was telling you guys pre-show. Usually I'm cooking for an event, and I have not been good. I have not learned from Mark in cooking ahead of time because I never know how do I keep this hot but not put it in the fridge and let it get cold. So I've always cooked like right up to the point where we're going to eat, and usually for me that means rushing it at the end, right? Cranking up the temp. Rushing at the end. So this last pork, but I did just the other night, I let it go because I'm going to be home anyway. I let it just ride. And that took 16 hours, something that I probably rush into 12, 13 hours. It ran for 16, actually almost 16 and a half hours, just staying on 225 the entire time. Let it go till it 203 is my temp that I like for our pulled pork. And it made the world of difference. And I'm talking massive difference. Hannah was like, what did you do differently? This is the texture, the consistency, everything. I'm like, honestly, it was just not rushing at the end, letting it go all the way, and really letting it hit 203. Honestly, not like, it's like 195. I'm going to pull it.
That's a huge difference.
It's that 8 degrees. You think, okay, what's between 195 and 203? 203 throughout the entire cut of meat made the biggest difference. That stuff, I didn't even need my, like, I call them, what do you call them? The
claws.
The claws. I didn't need the claws. I put on my gloves and I just pulled it apart, and it was just didn't even need when you don't need those, it makes a huge difference. So I've learned a lot just from having the time to honestly devote, because that's the one thing I've always struggled with barbecue is I struggle to have the time. But when you have it, man, does that make a difference, and is it delicious? Do
it the opposite way. Finish it so it finishes at noon and let it sit and wrapped in a cooler for 5 hours.
That's what this was. Yeah, okay. Actually, it finished at 10 a.m. and we didn't eat it till at night. So I put it in a cooler from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then I pulled it out and pulled it. And maybe that was the difference too.
That's
maybe letting it set for that long. Is that the difference?
Yeah, we did one time, New Year's Eve. I had my timing all screwed up. So the thing, instead of being done at like 11 o'clock in the morning, got done at 5 o'clock in the morning. So it was minus 30 out. I'm pulling this freaking pork shoulder off the barbecue, my pajamas at 5 o'clock in the morning, wrap it up in a foil, put it in the cooler. We drove 2 hours that day in minus 30 weather. So we wrapped it at 5 o'clock in the morning. We had it for lunch at 1 o'clock, and the thing just fell apart. It was still 160 degrees 7 hours later.
Yeah.
And so you didn't pull it. You just wrapped it tinfoil, wrapped it in a towel, put it in the cooler, drove, and then pulled it once you. Yeah, I think that was the difference because it was the most tender, fall off the bone, just a tad of pink, which I think I had way too much pink in my previous cooks. I almost want to apologize to anyone who came to my house for the first 2 years when I was learning to smoke and be like, please, will you give me another shot? Like, come over one more time. I promise my ribs won't be dead dry. My pulled pork will be way better. Because, you're really excited when you first get a smoke. You're like, oh, come on over. I made a pork butt. It's really good. You start inviting people over. And then like 2 years, 3 years, I might be 3 years in now. You're like, oh God, I feel so bad for those people who ate my first round of pork.
I learned so much.
You do. You learn. And I get, Mark, honestly, from you, your recipes and your pictures that you post, things like that. I learned from that. I've been doing a lot more Google foo, right? And then there's just nothing that can replace practice.
No.
How many have you done on your grill?
Don't stress.
And
barbecue is a no stress.
Yeah.
Yes. And how many have you been able to do? Because you can Google and you can have all the data. Everyone's grill is different. Everyone's time's different. Knowing how to do it, knowing how knowing what to look for in your meat it takes so much time. I think in 10 years from now, I'll have a whole nother level of like, oh wow, I had no idea what I was doing 3 years in.
Yeah, like I got to the point now where I want to try and have the meat done early to mid-afternoon. So I'll figure out the outside end of that time window and plan that for 2 o'clock in the afternoon for 6 p.m. dinner. So if it's done at 10 o'clock in the morning, I don't care. You wrap it up. It doesn't matter if it's pulled pork or brisket. We did ribs the other day and they were done in 3.5 hours because you never know. The thing about barbecue is it's done when it's done.
Right.
Yeah.
So I could have left I think the ribs are right there.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
I could have left those on longer. Those were pulled them out of the freezer, let them defrost overnight, sprinkle them with Suckle Busters SPG, and throw them on. And they were done in 3.5 hours. We wrapped them up and sat on the counter for a couple hours, and then we ate them for dinner. And they were still warm when we ate them, and they were juicy and tender and fall apart. And
I think
and that's the hard part too, is getting to the point where you're at, Mark, where okay, they've been on for 3 hours. I don't care. I know they're done. I'm going to pull them off. Whereas me, I struggle with that still. I'm like, I still do my 3, 2, 1. Now my 1 at the end, I know is totally optional, right? After the 3, 2, usually I'm like, okay, after I've wrapped them for 2 hours, they can probably come off. But I've ended up with some very overdone ribs.
I never wrap.
You don't? Okay, so I do three straight on. 2 wrapped, and then I usually do 1 hour open depending on if they need it. And all my ribs, I'll be honest, I haven't perfected ribs. They always end up a little bit on the dry side. Still good, but
my recipe is you throw them on at whatever temperature you want, like 180, 200, 225, whatever, some more smoking temperature, right?
Yeah.
You cook them until you grab them with a pair of tongs, you bend them, and they break. When you start seeing that meat break when you bend them, they're done.
Got it. So you're just doing open, no wrap, anything. Just keep them on the whole time.
Yep. They're not much harder to do than pork butt. The only hard part is figuring out when they're done. And if you want to sauce them, you sauce them about half an hour before you start getting their breakage. So you got to figure out when they're starting to break, but they're not at the breaking point yet.
Do you ever end up with really dark black unders? So like when I put them on, I feel like my first 2 hours, for some reason, even though I'm on indirect heat, and I think I fixed this. We'll talk about this later. Quick tip for fixing a pellet grill when your temperatures are way off. But my bottoms, when I put them bone side down, just charred almost, and the top is just now finishing up.
That almost sounds like you're missing one of those deflect. Like the Traeger grill and the Rectech I have both have a plate over top of the fire pot, and then they had the drip pan on top of that. So there's 2 layers of diffusion. It almost sounds like you're missing one of those layers.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I have actually, and mine has the fire pot. It has the box over top of that. the drip pan, and my drip pan is 2 pieces, and you can slide it to allow direct heat or indirect heat. So it opens up the hoards and closes them. So it's 2 pieces of steel in there, whatever it's made out of. And yeah, it's caused. I think I fixed it since then. I have not tried a rack of ribs since I fixed. So this is a perfect time to interject it. My grill, for some reason, I use a Green Mountain grill, same as a Traeger, essentially just a different brand of pellet grill. What I did not know was I am meticulous about cleaning that thing out, right? Going in, cleaning out the firebox. They say to do it every 1 to 2 bags. I do it about every bag, vacuum out that firebox, load it up with some new pellets, things like that. What I did not know was how important it is for that firebox. So when you put your little box over the, what do you call it? The pot, right?
Fire pot. Yeah. The deflector over the fire pot.
The deflector over the fire pot. At least on the Green Mountains. I don't know if Traeger runs the same way, but there's this little box that you put over that. There is a very precise measurement that you need to do from side to side because it deflects the smoke a certain way. And what that affects is your temperature, your thermostat in your grill that says, hey, the grill is this temp, so I'm good. I don't need to turn on the fan. Or, hey, the grill's a little cool. I need to turn on the fan. Well, the way I had it set, I just threw it in there. I had no idea that had any impact on it. I threw it in. I had it way too far to the left, which cranked the smoke to the right away from the thermostat. So my grill thought it was always under temp. So it was cranking. And so even though my grill thought it was 225, I realized it was like 325, almost 100 degrees hotter because it wasn't sensing all that heat because the heat was going straight to the right. And the right is where my smokestack is, right up the stack and out the grill, never hitting the thermostat. So the thermostat didn't realize it was that hot. So there are certain things in there. And I think that's why, honestly, I was charring some of those things because I think the temperature inside the grill was a little bit hotter. Had I been using a thermostat that would have known the grill temp versus the meat temp, I would have known. But until then, I really hadn't been using that in this season with the new problem. So just a little tip for a grill, if you are a Green Mountain grill user, and if you're a Jim Bowie Green Mountain grill user, it's 9.25 inches. You need to have that thing from the left. I mean, it's that precise so that they know, hey, if you have a 9.25, that's going to pick up the correct temp. So kind of interesting. I don't know, Mark, if you've run into anything weird like that you didn't realize, but I thought my grill was completely broken. And when I called Green Mountain Grill, they walked me through that. We fired it up. Sure enough, it picked up the right temps and it was fine.
The only thing I noticed was on the RecTech has no problems at all with it. That's out of all bang for the buck, that grill is built better than anything I've seen. Everything on it is heavy duty stainless steel, hasn't warped. It's the one I bought used. It had 5 years of competition on it before I got it, and I've had it for 3 or 4 years. And the thing is just a tank. The Traeger, where the RTD is to pick up the temperature, one trick I've run for about 3 years is you put a folded up paper towel roll behind it. So it doesn't pick up the temperature of the metal behind it. It just picks up the actual temperature of the heat of the chamber. The other thing is when you're measuring temperature, you want to put your thermometer close to the tip of the RTD that your grill is using. So that if you're trying to see if it's close or not, you got to measure it from the same spot that it's actually using it from.
Right.
Because depending where you put it, if you're doing grill level, if you're 6 inches higher than grill level, if you're near the fire pot, not near the fire pot, you're going to get a variation of 25 or 30 degrees.
That's true. Yeah, because I know that now when I use the meter, MEATR.
Yeah, the wireless thing.
The wireless one. Yeah, love that. But it's great because it's wireless. But I know that, the ambient is what they call it, the ambient temp that's picking up from right outside the meat. It's going to be less than what my grill is set at because that's obviously way higher because I stick mine straight on top, sometimes to the side, straight on top. And usually I'm middle to right where my thermostat's on the left. And at first, if you don't think of this through, it makes you go crazy. Like, why is my ambient saying it's 212 when my grill's set at 225? Well, it's because it's away to the right and up. It's not in the same spot as where it would be.
You know, one of the things I think it's really important is you guys are talking specs on individual, devices, and they all are different. Even similar products set up a little bit different. Mike, you kind of learned this. Even similar products set up either incorrectly or a little bit different can cause different results. I think for me, the key has been to know my gear. So to use it enough. Mark, in the shows in the past, you're still trying to get me on a Weber to do charcoal. You send me prices all the time. In fact, the prices better in Bellevue than I do, and I'm gonna eventually get there. But I have been focusing on, I have a 1997 Sunbeam grill that I have retrofitted with I have a cast iron burner, and I have deflectors in there that basically make it it gives me the ability to control the temperature in there much better than when it was just an open grill, right? And so it's still kind of focused. It kind of still works as a grill, but it really is a better smoker than anything else. I've kind of made it a smoker, right? I use Mike Howard got me using the tube. What do we call those? Mark?
Amazing smoking tube.
The amazing smoking tubes that are in there. I've got a bucket, 5-gallon bucket with a lid that's got hickory pellets in there that I just fill that thing up with and throw it on the grill. Mike taught me to get that started. I was burning that thing up in about an hour. He's like, no. That thing should last you 4, 5, 6 hours, right? So all that stuff I needed practice on, and I needed to learn my grill. Like I needed to learn, how does my grill work? I think I can make great stuff. I made pork shoulder for my wife's birthday just a month ago, which feels like about 10 years ago, just to be honest. We had pork shoulder because of all the pork shoulder we've talked about here on the show. And I made it on the grill in 7 hours. And it was good. I wish now that I know, God, I need to wrap that thing. Like I need to start it even earlier so I can wrap it for 3 hours. That's my takeaway from you guys tonight, right? But Mark, I think the key on all this, and Mike, I hear what you're saying, is you got to practice some of this stuff. You got to be willing to go out and give it a try, right? You're going to make a few mistakes, right, Mark? I'm sure you've made a few mistakes.
Yeah, we've had bombs. We've had some that were like, we had people over and like, I'm going to do ribs, and all of a sudden they're not good. Or we entered the rib contest one time in our neighborhood and went to Costco 1 week, got ribs, and it was 3 racks. Went to Costco another week, got ribs. It was 2 racks for the same weight. So the ribs were significantly meatier.
Right.
It was taking me 8 hours to get baby backs done, which are typically 4. Right. And the contest is at 7. I'm like, yeah, no problem. I got plenty of time. Yeah. And I'm cranking up temperature and cranking it up, trying to get the thing going faster and faster because it was meat's done when it's done. You can't rush it.
Well, and what you've taught me, Mark, over the years, and I have learned, like every time we have you on, every year we do this, I learn something new, is that there's not a big difference between grilling and smoking in the sense of using the grill. It's really the heat, the amount of heat you use, and the length of time that it's on there. And low and slow has been a revolution for me in my own cooking. In other words, giving it more time, putting the meat on. Even when I cook turkeys now for Thanksgiving or whatever, I want to give that thing just as much time as I can and get it at the lowest possible temperature I can within reason to let that thing just sit and cook. Not a difference necessarily in the contraption I used. Same grill. When I cooked it in 3 hours, when I used to cook a turkey in 3 hours, and now I'm shooting for like 5 if I can, maybe 6. And now I'm thinking, I'm going to start I'm going to get up at 2, let that thing go for 7, wrap it up and let it sit for 2, right? That way, and just let that meat continue to kind of cook off the bone so it just falls off, right? So don't get confused. Grilling and smoking aren't all that different in the sense, if you're going to smoke it and you want to have smoke flavor, you got to get something in there to kind of create the smoke. But I could do this without smoke, right? I could low and slow in the oven if I wanted to, Mark.
Yep. Yeah. Well, everybody does, or a lot of people do crock pot pulled beef or crock pot pulled pork. The difference between doing crock pot pulled pork and doing pulled pork in the grill is all the fat that comes out of the pulled pork in the crock pot is what it soaks in. Yeah. You do it on the grill, it all falls off. That's the biggest difference between doing it in the oven.
So better or worse, or what?
I don't like it in the crock pot.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Even doing what Mike said, doing it at 195 to 203. I took a cooking class one time from a guy that I respect. He's a champion-winning barbecue competitor. He does his pulled pork to 195. And then he pulls it all apart, and he's pulling chunks of fat out that haven't rendered yet. And he says, well, this is part of the reason why you do it at 195. You can pull these out, and he's discarding them for the competition. But if you ever go to a Kansas City Barbecue Society judging school, they'll actually say you don't want to eat the food you get served as a judge. You don't want to eat that every day as barbecue. It's too much. It's too rich. It's too That was just a steak picture. It's too rich. It's too flavorful. It's too over the top. If it's everyday food, you don't want it like that.
Yeah.
So he does his to 195 and pulls out the fat pieces. I cook mine to 205 and all the fat renders out.
Right.
So my pulled pork on that picture at the end, that picture there, that pork is really lean. There's almost no fat in it by the time you're done. Like if you can empty out that lasagna pan and there's not a lot of grease sitting in the bottom of it.
You're letting it on the grill. You're letting the fat drip into the burner, right? At this point, you're not cooking.
Well, pan.
Onto
drip pan.
It in a pan?
Well, it drops onto a drip pan.
Right. But
so the way the pellet grills work is there's a grill,
right.
and then there's a drip pan, and then there's a heat deflector underneath that. So all the grease runs off the drip pan to the end and into a bucket.
Yeah. In my grill, so I have a traditional Sunbeam that's got kind of the grilling surface on the bottom, and then it's got a second layer on the top. I could put that pork shoulder or whatever on the very top level and put a drip pan underneath it, right? Yep. And then get that thing up to, in my case, I set it all the way, almost not quite all the way down, but to the very lowest setting. I have a Wi-Fi or I have a Bluetooth thermometer as well that I put in there, and kind of tested some various things, so I kind of know, okay, this is the best temperature to kind of have it at. But I could do it that way, right? If I didn't have a traditional smoker, I could put it that way and let it drip right into the pan underneath. I never thought of doing that, but that'd work, right?
You could do that, or you could actually put a like a steel casserole pan with a cookie sheet, not a cookie sheet, one of those cooling trays, like the metal grills.
Yep.
Put the pork on top of that. Then you have another layer of heat deflection between your pork and your.
That's a good idea.
And gets it just a little bit off the grill, and all the juices fall into the pan.
It's a great idea.
Because when my pork butt and I'm done, I lift it off. There's actually a whole layer of fat on sticks to the grate that I later. Like it pulls off that entire bottom layer of fat, the thick part that obviously hasn't rendered down. And Mark's here to give you the advanced tips. I'm here to give you the rookie tips. If you're on a pellet smoker, lay some tinfoil down on your drip trays, because I just started doing that, Mark. I don't know if you believe. I ordered new trays for this year because I'm like, you know what? I'm so sick. These things are disgusting. They're so hard to clean. Grease from that stuff is just stuff to clean off. I started just so on all the smokes I've done this year, I've had just tinfoil laid down. It can last 1 or 2 smokes, depending on how, and maybe even more. I don't know. I did 1 or 2. And just pull it off, and your trays look new. In other words, it doesn't make any difference on the cook. It doesn't affect it on your drip trays, on your whatever. Mark, what's the official form? I call them drip trays. But
a drip pan. I use the
drip pan. Yeah.
I use a Reynolds Alcan heavy duty aluminum foil.
Yep. Another tip. It's nice and thick, and you just roll it out. Wide. Yes, that's the best part about it. It's wide. You just throw it out, do it, and it doesn't. I was always worried that was going to affect the heat. I'm blocking all the heat from coming up. No, it doesn't. No. And it just saves you from buying new trays, and it just saves you the cleanup. It's so quick and easy. I can't believe for the last 3 years I have not been doing that. Another
tip is to actually use multiple layers of it. So when you get one layer done, you rip that layer off and you just replace it, and you always have a fresh pan.
Oh, you just blew my mind, Mark. That's genius. Like I can't believe I hadn't thought of that. Now tomorrow morning I'll be out there laying multiple layers of tinfoil down on my smoker.
Brian says he does crockpot pulled pork, but have a stone block to drain the fat away from the meat.
That makes sense too.
Yeah,
that's a good. Yeah, that's interesting.
No, I think there's some good. Again, I think this is one of those things where it just takes some practice, and there's no wrong answer on this, right? And one of the things is, I want to emphasize again, some of these cuts of meat can be very economical. If you're going for the fashionable stuff, well, that's going to be more expensive. But if you're going for the cuts of meat that aren't as popular right now, you may go to your local meat market. Like just kind of just about every city has kind of a meat market in it or something, a store that specializes it, and see what's economical. And then go back on the internet and say, okay, how are people cooking this? Because there will be YouTube videos, right, of how people are cooking this meat, and it will allow you, for a lot of folks, this is just a tough economical time. Doesn't mean you need to settle for crap. Like you can really still get some good stuff.
We just came off Easter, and I don't know if you guys get it, but every Easter we get prime rib on sale for like $6 a pound instead of 16 or $20 a pound. It's $6 a pound.
Right after Easter.
Just for Easter, we get it for Easter.
Okay.
So this was a 3-pound single bone prime rib roast that we cooked like a steak. So we reverse seared it. So I smoked it for, I want to say, an hour and a half to get at the inside temperature is I think 120 degrees. And then I put it caveman style on the coals just to finish the outside of it. And then we sliced it up as slices, and it lasted us. So a 3-pound lasted us, I think, 6 meals. There was 6 servings.
Yeah.
So that was
Oh,
so $15 with meat Canadian for 6 meals.
yeah.
And what that meal right there that you're showing on screen would cost as to go out to like a restaurant and have. That looks
it's
delicious.
$30 or $40 a plate.
Yeah, exactly. Looks amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we've done it. I mean, our $13, $14 pulled pork shoulder is what I buy.
Yeah.
So I smoked that the other night. My wife and I and my 2 boys. My boys are little, mind you, 2 and 3 years old. We ate an eighth of it. So that would last 8 meals for 4 people, and we're not even doing it for. I'm at home eating it for lunch and dinner, but they're not. Right there, yeah. So I mean, you'd be amazed how much meat you get off of $14 in America in Omaha, Nebraska.
Well, that's a large lasagna pan, and the 2 pork shoulders filled it to overflowing. So we had a meal for 2. There's only 2 of us in the house, so we had a meal for the first night. We had a meal the second night. My wife made an Asian noodle meal with it last night. I had it again for lunch today. Yeah. And then she packaged everything up in half-pound bags and put them in the freezer. And we have another, I want to say 8 meals out of it, 10 meals out of it.
Yeah. And that I would call, I don't know, Mark, if you agree, I think the pork shoulder is probably like the intro, easiest, best thing to cook if you are first smoking. Put it on, let it go, put a thermometer in there. When it hits whatever temperature we prefer, I prefer 203. I think Mark said 205. Pull it off. Like, you can get fancy with it. You can spray it with apple sauce or apple juice. You can do a bunch of stuff, but
I don't do anything.
I don't either. I put it on there, let it go, and it tastes amazing, right? You rub it down, and then once you put it on, easiest thing you'll ever cook. Best way to impress your wife with your new expensive smoker purchase, make her a pork butt, because then she'll be like, oh man, that was so worth the money you just spent on that new grill.
And then you can buy another one.
Well, I'm still working on that point, Mark. I need to get some tips from you on how to convince the wife I need a second one.
So you don't tell her, you just buy it.
Let's talk through this. Let's talk through this really quick, because this is one of the things I've been learning, right? So pick up pork shoulder. We had 2 the last time we did this. I put a dry rub on it. Mark, what do you like when you're prepping it? I just kind of use salt and pepper and some garlic and some onion powder, and I went into the spice cabinet and picked out things that I thought were good. But when you think about a dry rub for a pork shoulder, what would you throw on it?
There's a recipe called Magic Dust, and it is the.
And if you don't speak Canadian, he said magic dust.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's Canadian too.
If you didn't understand that, he said sorry.
Boot. There you go. Magic Dust barbecue seasoning. Just Google that, and that is a phenomenal, basic homemade barbecue rub. So just slather the ribs or the pork shoulder in mustard.
Yes.
Put that over top of the stuff. Let it sit there for a night. Put it on next day.
And some people, I mean, even have they question mustard. Like what? It's a binding agent. That's all it is. You will not taste the mustard. Mustard is literally just a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah.
Squirt some mustard. Rub it down with your hands. Right. Rub the whole pork butt down. Sprinkle this Magic Dust barbecue seasoning, or you know what? If you want to make it easier, go to your just local store and get some sort of rub. There's a place in Omaha called the Hub, Helping You Barbecue. This guy is a professional world-class smoker. He has the best stuff. And I just you know what? It's easier for me to go there and trust him. And he always is suggesting recipes for me. When I go in there, it's more of a lesson in how to smoke something new than it really is me buying anything. I just go in there to buy stuff to support the guy because he gives me so many awesome recipes.
Here's another
rub
one
that down and then put it on there and go.
Stucco Busters is pretty good. That's what we did last time. They have one called SPG that I put on my pork ribs last time. And they're phenomenal.
Yeah,
I put it on my.
You've said that before. You've said that before. Yeah.
Beef and pork is fantastic, but I used their pork rib. Actually, it's SPG's right there.
Mark, do you rub your ribs down with mustard too? I usually just go straight. I don't do the binding agent on ribs. Should I?
I do. Well, first let's get the skin no skin issue out of the way.
You need to take the back skin off.
You pull the skin off, and the secret to pulling skin off of ribs is you use a piece of paper towel.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, so I have the hardest time getting that back thing off. It does not come off easy for me.
Okay,
Maybe I'm getting bad cuts of meat from Hy-Vee, which I probably am. I haven't invested in nice ribs lately, but I cannot get that back skin off.
Mike, if you want to see a good video, so Steven Reichlin he has a couple videos on ribs, and just Google him on YouTube. Just go out and search on YouTube Steven Reichlin, and he will show you. Go in there, grab like Mark said, grab that paper towel. It'll just pull that right off.
Man, that would save me so much time. I spent so much time trying to get that skin off.
You can ask the butcher to do it too. If you're in a meat place, you can ask them to take it off.
But it's amazing how many people to start off, didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
You buy ribs, you think I just put these on the smoker, I just do it. Make sure you're pulling off that back skin. It's on the bone side if you guys haven't done it before.
Right.
And you're pulling off this almost layer of skin that will end up super crusty and disgusting after you smoked it. So it's definitely important to get off.
By the way, I think mustard is the best kept secret in grilling in a lot of ways. It adds such a unique flavor to a lot of the things that you're doing, and it's just not a bad it's just not a bad thing to start with. But okay, hold on, let's go back. So dry rub, so pork shoulder.
Yeah,
so dry rub.
Back 1 second further.
Yeah.
If I'm doing ribs, if I use something like Magic Dust, I'll use mustard as a base. If I'm using SPG, I don't. With SPG, I just sprinkle it right on the ribs and I was done.
Yeah.
What's the difference there?
It's the flavor profile. There is a bit of a flavor that comes from the mustard is tangy. Salt, pepper, garlic isn't tangy, so I don't tend to put them on it. But then with the salt, pepper, garlic, I sort of splash it with lemon juice before I serve them. So you got the salt, pepper, garlic, and a bit of lemon juice on the ribs when you're serving them that way. But if I'm doing like a traditional style rub with ribs, I'll put mustard on them. So Magic Dust, that was the first stuff I ever made. You can see from the ingredients, it's got a fairly simple list of ingredients: paprika, salt, sugar, mustard powder, which can make it hotter or less hot, chili powder, cumin, black pepper, granulated garlic, and cayenne. Real simple. Use those ratios, put them in a shaker, and you're good to go. And it keeps for a while. So rub it down with mustard, rub it down with the rub, let it sit there overnight, throw it in the smoker next day.
And I think a lot of people are familiar with mustard, that yellow mustard. We're talking a little bit about the chat, the cheapest yellow mustard you get.
The French's mustard.
That's not what we're talking. Like,
this is mustard powder. This is English mustard powder.
Right. Let me just say this though.
Oh, shoot.
You can do mustard.
Seriously? I've been doing this wrong the entire time.
The rub is yellow mustard, but the mustard powder here is Keen's mustard powder.
In the recipe. Got it. Okay, just making sure that the binding agent was still our standard yellow cheap mustard.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, but Mike, I would say it's the better quality mustard you can get, even for the binder, the better flavor you're going to get. Like I think it changes things, and that yellow, kind of the cheap yellow mustard, does not taste very good to me. I'm not a big fan of it, but we've gotten some more expensive, some just better flavored mustards, and we do it kind of with our fish and some of those other things. And man, grilling that with low and slow with that kind of mustard, wow! I mean, if you ever want to add instant flavor to something, just get a really good mustard and put it on there. And this is this is pre with it. I'm not talking about squirting it on your hot dog when you're done. That's a whole different thing. I'm talking about on the pre-grill. Okay, so we got some dry rubs. We got some things, Mark. We've now covered this with something. Do I have to? If I had a pork shoulder, could I just throw that thing on there, or do I really need a dry rub to make it work?
I've never honestly tried roasting a roast or pork shoulder with no rub.
Yeah. No, I know I know you don't, but could you?
I don't know.
Okay.
The other thing about barbecue is it's always fun to experiment, right?
Yeah.
You could always grab, for some reason right now we seem to be getting them as sort of two roasts instead of one larger one. Yeah. So next time just grab two of them and coat one and don't coat the other.
And that's the one thing I'll say. Mark said something really important early in the show, which was Barbecue is meant to make really tough, cheap cuts of meat really good, right? Because low and slow kind of tenderize them, makes them taste really good. That's the best part about barbecue. You reach the temp you're supposed to reach. The lower, the slower, probably the more tender and better it's going to be. Experiment to your heart's desire with that. Number one, that ends up with bad cooks like I've done, right? Sometimes it's bad, and do them for yourself. Do them for yourself and your wife, or your wife will just laugh at you and make fun of you for something like that. And but with that, I think you'll get a lot better. Once I started getting a lot less, I was so uppity about smoking, like, oh, this has got to be really good. Once I got used to, well, hey, this might not turn out, it ended up a lot better because the experimentation, I think, Mark, I don't know for you, has been probably the best learning process for me and how certain stuff tastes.
I've tried so many different variations on ABTs or stuffed jalapenos or atomic buffalo turds, whatever you want to call them.
Atomic buffalo turds is my favorite. I've never heard that, but that's awesome.
You never had those?
I've never heard that. No, I haven't.
They're half jalapenos that you stuff with cream cheese and cheddar cheese and spices and sausage, and then wrap them in bacon and put them on until the sausage is crisp.
That sounds so good.
So I've tried that with that recipe. I've tried it with pepperette sticks in it. I've tried it with chocolate and peanut butter. I've tried it with cream cheese and steak. And it's just you play around with it. You just have fun with it. I tried doing it with habaneros instead of jalapenos. It's just, I tried it out with Parmesan and pepperettes. That was a different one too.
This is how you get to Mark's level, is you experiment.
You play.
No one's ending up with the pictures he has here that you're seeing on screen without experimenting a little bit and knowing what works and what doesn't.
I bought some extra thick cut bacon the other day. I mean, like super thick, like 8 strips in a pack.
Like the whole pig was there.
Basically the pork belly.
Yeah.
Right? It was basically the pork belly. And so I took the frog mats. This is something Mike Howard had me buy a couple years ago, right? These silicone frog mats, they're kind of gridded, about a 1/2 inch by a 1/2 inch. You can throw them on your grill. You can cook fish on them or vegetables or whatever. And I just took, so I put the mat down, and then I took a piece of tinfoil and made a little boat, like a little flat boat. Just brought the corners up, and you know how you bake bacon in the oven for 45 minutes, and it stays really flat and really crisp, and it's a great way to do it. And the fat just kind of lives in that. We do it in a cookie sheet, and then we put tinfoil on it so we don't have to, we can get that grease out of there. Did that on the grill in those frog mats, and oh man, that was great. Still about the same time, 35, 40 minutes.
Really? What temperature?
Pretty high.
Okay.
So we're 325.
That sounds really good. And you're laying the cookie sheet just straight on the grill.
Straight on. I'm just laying them. It's on a frog mat on a tinfoil kind of boat, so to speak. It's I bring the edges up to keep the bacon grease from dripping off and catching fire. But oh my God, it was so good. My neighbors were I was driving them nuts. They're like, "What are you cooking over there?"
Mike, you got to try doing bacon on your Green Mountain.
I do. I've never done it. Okay, so what Jim said, Mark, you'll take it, like compare it on my Green Mountain. Anything I need to do differently than what he did?
Put it on the grill. Because we have a drip pan, you just put it on the grill and let the grease run off of it.
Because there's not going to be any flame up.
Right.
There's not flame up.
Right.
You want to take it one step further.
And what temperature are you usually doing at that, Mark? On the
I'm trying to remember if I'm cooking like the ABTs, I'm cooking around 250. If I do Scotch eggs, I'll do the same thing. So I do Scotch eggs, which are hard-boiled egg wrapped in sausage meat, wrapped in bacon, and then smoked.
It pretty much turns into jerky at that point, right? If you did it long enough, it almost be thin slices
an hour.
of jerky.
It's about it turns wonderful and crispy and smoky.
I'm making breakfast tomorrow. I need to go to. I'll go to Hy-Vee. They're 24 hours still. I'll go there after the show. And make breakfast.
If you're gonna go there, you got to do.
Are they still
24 find them?
Well, because Mark, we can't get past this show, and I actually sadly have a hard stop tonight in about 7 minutes. But I want to hear about your other. Okay, besides meat, you have done potatoes. You have done so much other stuff. Tell us about some of your other cooks that have. I mean, your potato mix, maybe that has meat in it, but it looks so good. What other things can we do with the smoker besides just our traditional meats that we always know about?
I'm trying to find. There it is, right there.
I see the advertisements, by the way, for like Green Mountain, Traeger, and they have all sorts of stuff in their grill when they open. I'm like, okay, honestly, I've never cooked anything besides meat in my smoker.
We've done well. If I'm going to do higher heat stuff, I typically use my Weber. I don't usually use my smoker for the other stuff. You can do it, but we've done bread, we've done cookies. This was a potato and veggie bake, so it had Oktoberfest sausage, potatoes, carrots, onions, olive oil. Put it on there for like an hour, and that was it. It was like my wife right now isn't working; she's off because of COVID. So I am still working. So it's sort of the opposite of Jim, where she's at home all the time making stuff. So now she looks after dinner, but then it comes to the barbecue side. I actually go upstairs and do it.
Yeah.
But this was something that she prepped. I came upstairs and tossed it in the smoker, and we had it like an hour and 10 minutes, I think, to cook it at 375.
Looks delicious.
And by the way, let me just say this. There's some conversation going on about our arteries right now in the chat room, and I appreciate that. But by the way, you can do this straight vegetarian. So the other night we did some zucchini and onions. You can throw some carrots in there, roast the potatoes, put it on the grill, add some thyme or some, whatever you like, parsley. Put that on there and let those vegetables, especially like maybe on one of those frog mats, make sure your onions are good size. You don't want to get them too thin because they'll fall in. Man, you can maybe add a little bit of olive oil to that. You can grill you can grill or even smoke vegetables and still have a really good meal.
The pulled pork and the brisket pulled pork and the jerky are very lean.
Right. Because you've rendered all the fat out of it.
You render all the fat out.
But there is ways to do this, Mark. I mean, for folks who want to eat a little healthier, or at least the appearance that they're eating healthier, we do almost all of our bell peppers. We do all our zucchini. We do our onions.
Smoked salsa.
We have that Pampered Chef tool that will dice for you. Get a couple things of garlic and put those in and spread that in there. Yeah,
and we get more than just red meat on our plates too. Like there's some fresh veggies and some potatoes.
Right.
Well, it's funny you joke about that. That's been the joke between my wife and I. She's like, "You do a really good job making great meat. I really wish you could take care of the sides as well." Yeah. Because I'm always like, "Okay, I made the meat, I'm done," and she's like, "Okay, what do I make for the sides? Like potatoes or so." Learning how to do all that stuff. If I could find easy recipes for that sort of things, that would be huge for my meal prep and eliminating really hurting. Because my whole goal of barbecuing is saying, babe, like take the night off from cooking. Like she does so much of the cooking around here. It's me really giving her a break. Oh, wow. Okay. Is that bacon wrapped over lettuce?
Cabbage.
You have to explain this one. This looks delicious too, but I'm also very, very much interested in eating that.
I found a recipe somewhere for a bacon wrapped cabbage where you core it out and you stuff the inside, I think, with butter and spices, and you wrap the outside with bacon and you roast it. And yeah, we sure did. It was around
cabbage and bacon. Can you beat it? I don't know. That looks delicious though.
It was St. Patty's Day, so we did that with a corned beef.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So, Mike, next time you're grilling, like you're doing a steak, get some broccoli.
The problem is I don't grill too many steaks because of the fact that I only have the Green Mountain. So that's why I need a gas grill.
Yeah,
you need Weber.
Can be anything. You do need to get charcoal Weber.
Okay, everyone's been saying that. I'm too lazy for that.
Maybe you and I can get matching Weber.
Too lazy for a charcoal.
It takes as much time as it does for gas.
I don't know if you think?
I had one, and I'm not allowed to have another gas grill now because of it.
Really?
My wife won't let another gas grill in the house because she doesn't like the taste of the food on that versus a charcoal.
It's so good. Like charcoal's amazing.
I could be down for that.
Yeah.
It's also one more thing because my wife's already out there using my tiny little camper gas grill and she's really good at it. I'm like, dang it, now she's better at me than that. So maybe if I do charcoal, it's an extra step she won't be willing to take.
Yeah. So you reverse sear some steaks. You get some nice thick steaks or a nice roast. You reverse sear it, so you smoke it to 120. You toss it on top of the coals. Like this is the Weber getting ready to do some steaks.
And you're saying on the coals, not on top of a grate. You're saying on the coals?
I do both. So the one
called caveman. It's caveman style.
I understand caveman style is usually just straight on the coals. I just want to make sure that's what you mean, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I reverse seared it.
It's weird. You don't think it's going to work, but it's so good.
Elton Brown was the guy who showed it to me.
Yeah.
And how long are you keeping it on those coals?
About a minute total. The trick to it, from what
side, just get it on, get it off.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's already cooked, right? It's like sous vide. So you're already getting the whole meat up to 120 degrees, and you just charring the outside.
So you're almost doing it for texture, taste on the outside than you really are for internal temp.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
there's a terminology for it. Starts with an M, and I can't remember the name of it. But it's making that caramelization on the outside of the meat. So you cook basically get the whole steak up to a reasonable temperature, and then you literally toss the thing onto the coals to finish it off.
Yep.
So that was New Year's Eve when I was doing it.
So
Yeah, you got to try it. It's amazing. You
Okay.
think it's
all right.
you
I'm
think it's
down.
going to come off with coals and stuff attached
That's
to
what
it.
I would
and-
think. Yeah.
No, you
No.
just
But
flick
now
them
I
off.
need to get a Weber with charcoal on
Yeah.
it. That's what my
And you can
dad
get
used to cook on. Honestly, like that's what I grew up on.
No,
The whole
Um,
secret is this silver cylinder in the middle of the grill. 15 minutes and you have your coals ready.
Wait, so
Like a Weber
okay, so
chimney.
explain. You're doing that cylinder, cooking or like getting the coals ready, and then you're pouring them into the Weber.
Yep.
Not starting them inside the Weber.
And you don't use
Correct.
lighter fluid.
Got it.
correct. Yeah.
Got it.
Little paper underneath, light it. It'll go up in a chimney. It'll light the charcoal. Then
Yep.
when it gets hot, 15 minutes, turn it over and just pour it in there. That way you can pour it anywhere you want. You can do indirect that way. You can pour it in a corner.
Got
You
it.
can
You're not limiting yourself to where you initially put it.
correct.
Got
you
it,
can
okay.
spread them out. You can kind of do it that way. And then in this case, like with these, you'd put them in a section, level them out, take the meat, put it right on the.
I have,
Or you
I
can
have
do-
so many lessons I'm gonna take them this weekend. Sadly, guys, I have a hard cutoff.
You
I'm
bet,
sorry
Mike.
right now, but man, I'm gonna follow up next week because I have a bunch of recipes I'm gonna take in. Mark gave me some ones for my beef that I tried to cook last week that I think my wife would like a lot better. So we're going to be doing a lot of barbecuing in the next few weeks. So I'll be giving you guys updates. Mark, always good seeing you. I'll
Mike.
keep you later.
See you, Mike. Thanks for
See ya.
coming in, man. See you next week. The recipe I was going to give him on the broccoli, super easy. Don't need a grill for it. So take a cookie sheet, put some tin foil on it, cut your broccoli up into just little chunks. Throw that on there. Grate some ginger. Throw it over the top of that. Salt and pepper it. Put it in the oven at 400 for 20 minutes. And you get baked broccoli. That was a HelloFresh find. I never thought of baking broccoli. We always steamed it and it was always awful. It was wet and slimy and gross. And cooking broccoli changed everything. Like it's like, oh my God, this is great.
So there's 3 things you can do that with. Broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts.
Yep. Yeah. Carrots too. You can kind of do that with carrots.
Yeah. And the other thing we do, instead of using ginger, we use Parmesan.
Yeah.
So you use olive oil and Parmesan and bake it.
Yeah.
And we used to do that all the time because I'm the same way. I'd rather have raw vegetables than I would boiled.
Yeah. Steamed or even
Yeah.
steamed. We'd go through all kinds of gyrations to steam these and get them just right. And they just always be mushy and kind of, ugh. HelloFresh got us baking those, and you can get all kinds of recipes on the internet for baked broccoli. I just never thought of doing it that way, and it was super delicious. You can have your broccoli going, so you get 20 minutes out off the grill. You can throw these in the oven, and they'll come out fresh and ready to go for you. And I'm a big steak and broccoli fan. That's kind of those are my 2 favorites to kind of pair together with a red wine, and I'm pretty much maybe a cigar at the end.
Mushrooms.
And yes, some sautéed. Yeah. Have you? So let's just talk about sautéed mushrooms really quick. Have you done it? So I have a pan for my grill that I can put in the grill and get really hot. Have you just done that on the grill where you throw the mushrooms in there and add some stuff to them and just kind of sauté them with the meat?
I've done mushrooms. I think the burger doesn't have it. We get the big portobello heads, the ones that are about 4 inches in diameter, and we'll take the stem out of it, drizzle olive oil over top of it, and put steak spice on top of it, and then put those on the grill with the veins up, and cook them for about 20 minutes. And all the juice from the mushroom comes into the veins, and then put a burger on top of that. But we used to have those with steaks, just
Okay.
portobello mushrooms on the side of the steak. But I do have a wok from my Weber
Okay.
that I've used.
Yeah.
But we used to do those portobellos all the time. If we're having a steak, we'd have a portobello beside it.
Yeah. One of the things that's been interesting, Mark, during this time, this crisis that we're in, is when I go to the grocery store, and I haven't been in 3 weeks. So this was 3 weeks ago, but like all the fresh produce was packed. Like we could have, in that time, I could have gotten anything. We were buying fresh celery. We were buying fresh fruits. they were all there. I don't know what it's like now, but it is one of those things. Everybody made a run on, of course, stuff that would be around for a while. Man, we had some of the best fresh vegetables we've ever had. And then the other thing, Sammy's gotten really, my daughter, she's gotten really kind of cookie-ish in this, cooking-ish. And we made our own vegetable stock this week. So all the fresh stuff that we've gotten in either HelloFresh or we've bought, we've put in a bag, throw it in the freezer. And she spent some time on Friday just boiling, just cooking that up for a couple hours, adding some stuff to it. And then we got 2 gallons of vegetable stock.
Freeze it.
Yeah, it's in the freezer. It's frozen in the freezer. We're also going to, and here's what I want to ask you before we kind of wrap this thing up, is I've got a whole chicken. Actually, I have 2 whole chickens that I bought. By the way, they're like $6.
Yeah.
They're not very expensive, right? 2 whole chickens. I want to put that on the grill for a day. And that's one of those kind of things I want to put on at 7 in the morning and let it go for hours. Like 185, 200, 225, something like that. Do I need to do, I've done turkeys, but for what kind of advice would you give me on a whole chicken? By the way, I bought that. We talked about that a couple of years ago. I bought that roaster.
Yes.
Do I use that or so what do I do? What kind of advice would you give me?
There's 2 different ways you can do it. You can do it on the roaster, which I still love. You can also spatchcock it.
And that's cutting it down the center and opening it up.
You basically you cut the backbone out of it and you break break the front of it, rib cage, and then you put it flat. It allows it to cook better because it's more consistent across the whole thing. But the other part of it is cook to temperature. Cook it till it's just at the safe temperature. So I think chicken's 165 Fahrenheit. Mm-hmm. If you let it go for longer, you're going to find it probably dried out and tough.
Okay.
So chicken's one of those things I put my thermometer into it and get it as soon as I hit 163. I'm looking at pulling the thing off.
Okay.
Because I want to get it off as soon as it can to make it juicy.
Yeah. I am kind of looking at, we want to make some chicken stock off of it. So I do want to get it kind of roasted to the temperature where it does begin to separate from the bones so that we get as much meat. I always hate that when I'm eat chicken and it kind of sticks to it. I'd rather it just kind of fall off.
Well, the other thing is talking to I used to take a lot of cooking classes with a chef that was at the barbecue store. The barbecue store went out of business now, so the classes are dried up. But his way of doing it was he said you never want to make stock from cooked chicken. Mm. You want to debone the chicken, cook the breasts and cook the legs and cook everything else, and toss the raw carcass into the stock pot.
Okay, all right.
That's more work and it's harder because it's easier to pull meat off when it's done.
Right.
But he said it gives you a lot better chicken stock flavor.
Okay. Well, that's good. Good to know. That's really good. Yeah, I was gonna get lazy with it and roast that thing for a while and then let it kind of fall apart and then take the kind of the pieces that are left after we take what we want and make chicken stock out of it. But that kind of makes sense.
What I usually do is I'll cook them up. I'm not sure if I have a picture of it or not, but I'll buy a couple of chickens when they're on sale and they're like $7 a chicken. Yeah. Cook them up on the smoker at 350 until they're 165. Pull them off, let them cool down a bit, then throw my gloves on and you rip all the meat off of it.
Right.
And we'll sort of process all the meat. So we have a big bowl of chicken meat.
Yeah.
When you're actually able to handle it.
Right.
And
then
that's
kind of what I'm thinking of doing is starting it in the morning, letting it get up to temperature, probably by lunch or after lunch, it's probably up to temperature. Pull it off, wrap it, and let it rest. And then in the evening, start pulling it apart. And I figure that would give us probably a couple meals out of that.
Yeah.
For us. And then we could do a variety. We could kind of process it, dark meat, breast meat, the other pieces, and then we could probably make a few things out of that.
We just toss it into a whole big bowl. We don't even bother separating it.
Yeah.
We pull the meat off the legs and meat off the wings and breasts and
right. Yeah.
And then it's we get like we'll find that we start using it for like an Asian noodle salad, and then we'll start using it for a chicken omelet or chicken and broccoli omelet or a quiche and then we start freezing whatever's left.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. Ken, and I hadn't thought about this. I always do my turkeys whole, but he said spatchcocking turkey on the acorn for Thanksgiving. Yum. I never thought about that. That'd be some work to spatchcock a turkey, don't you think?
No, they're not that bad. It's not that hard to actually get the bones out. It was amazingly easy with a sharp knife or with a pair of scissors.
Okay. Yeah,
But
I've got it.
I think Ken bought an acorn after one of our first barbecue shows, and I still love my acorn. I still have it. I can't ever see getting rid of it until it falls apart. But I've had it, I want to say 6 or 7 years now, and the thing still goes. And I'm actually looking at buying a stainless steel grill for it because I don't want to reseason my cast iron every time I do pizzas or steaks.
Mark, anything else you wanted to share that we might have missed on this?
I don't think so. Oh, actually, there was.
By the way,
this guy
bacon
right-
rack cabbage. Are you kidding me?
That was good. It was really good. This might be one of my next purchases if I can find one. So this is the benefits of a pellet smoker being it's computer controlled, but the beauty of charcoal being that it's a gravity fed charcoal grill, and it's getting a lot of attention. So these gravity fed charcoal things have been around for a while. This one's actually a computer controlled one, so there's no messing around with it.
Masterbuilt is the name of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's getting great reviews. Like it's got 4.6 on their own site out of 82, but it's actually getting good reviews on people's reviewing sites also. So it works in a similar principle to a pellet grill where it actually has a charcoal feed and a fan instead of pellets and a fan. And then you can put wood chunks on top of it to get extra flavor. And when you're done, you shut down the vents and the thing goes away.
Yeah.
So it's
that's a nice play on fed auger fed and just using charcoal, right?
And the gravity
do they require special charcoal?
Nope, just lumper briquettes. A typical gravity fed cabinet style smoker is about $2,000, and these things are selling for $500. So Masterbuilt's always known to be a bit of a lower end grill.
Oh,
but
okay. Yeah, good reviews so far.
They're getting great reviews, and Weber, who was thought of as one of the top makers of grills, with their pellet grill is getting absolutely slammed. There are people returning them before they even got delivery of them because they were having fires on them. They came out with a brand new. They had a huge product launch. The reviewers were reviewing them live, and they were having fires. Numerous people were having fires with them, and people started returning them to the store before they even took delivery. So it's funny how the market can go sometimes.
Yeah, no, right on. You just never know. And I have an old, like I said, I think I bought mine. We bought our first house in '96, and I bought a Sunbeam grill just so we'd have a grill. It was $140 at Walmart maybe, and I just wanted a grill. I got the cheapest, not the cheapest, but pretty close. And I've retrofitted that thing with cast iron grates, and I've put cast iron burners in there, and I've tried different kind of deflectors. I've messed around with different kind of rock just to kind of get what I want.
Lava rock and the pallet things and the.
Yeah, no, I just kind of messed around with it each time to give it a little bit of different. It's had so much heat in it. It started to bow out, so I had to run a bolt through it and screw. I mean, like I have gotten all 100 and whatever I paid for this thing of value out of it, but it pulled it back together. One of the things now, after we're talking about this, Mark, I have heat deflectors all the way across, and it really doesn't make it an effective grill anymore. Like it's really hard for me to sear on that thing because it's deflecting the heat so evenly, and I'm getting, it's warming up to a certain temperature, but I'm not getting that searing that I want at times. And now we're talking about this, maybe I'll switch one side to have the deflectors, the other side to be open, and then that it gives me the ability to do some direct or indirect. I mean, it's not big enough that I would do large volumes on it, but it would give me an opportunity for the way we cook to have that flexibility to do indirect and direct or both, or right. I mean, because it just gives me some options.
Or you could just be good excuse to buy a Weber.
I'm gonna get one. I am gonna get a Weber just for you, and I'll have that. I keep looking maybe this spring.
It's such a great tool/toy, right? It's so versatile. One thing that popped up in Discord this week is how many of the people on the group actually are smoking one form or another. We had people on Weber Smoky Mountains. We had people on Weber 22-inch kettles that were doing smoking. I know Brian Ayers got a massive smoker. I think there's about 7 or 8 people in that group now that actually have them or are doing smoking on something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'm smoking on this. I mean, I've figured out how to do it, how it's taken practice, but I'm figuring out how to smoke on this Sunbeam grill. That's not traditionally would not be a smoker with that amazing tube, and figuring the right place to put it and how it needs to work and how much I can do and where does the meat need to go. So it can be done. You don't have to the current grill that you have, you may be able to get some I think that amazing smoking tube is $15. You talked me into that chicken
roaster,
the roaster
rubber chicken roaster.
Yeah, I think it was $30-$40. It wasn't very much.
Yeah,
we have it. I haven't used it as much, but maybe I need to pull it out for this for these turkey or these chickens that I have. So it doesn't have to be. I started looking at the Traegers. I started looking at all the stuff you guys talk about, and it was tough for me to stomach a $300, $400, $500 investment. Some of these are $1,000, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, but for the average guy who wants to be a little more economical, you totally can do this on your grill. It's just you got to know it. You got to know it.
You got to play with it. I bought a Napoleon charcoal grill. It wasn't a lot of money. It was $200 US. Bought it, assembled it, tried playing with it. I couldn't control the heat at all. It had manufacturing issues with it. I took it back to the store. I bought a Weber, same price. Like $200 is less than you'll pay for a lot of gas grills. And you can do high heat. You can do offset. I love doing chicken wings on it when you're doing an offset. You can do rotisserie. You can do pizzas on them. You can do bread on them. It's getting back into using charcoal again, which is a little different, but it's something that you can play with and learn with.
Yeah.
Or you can do it through your grill. Like I tried doing ribs before I started getting into charcoal. I did a lot of ribs on my gas grill. And I got frustrated with it because I was losing too much heat at the back, and I would jam the back vent with tinfoil. And then at one point I got my first charcoal grill, and then I want another one. My wife said, well, you have to get rid of your gas. You have to get rid of another grill to get a second grill. So I got rid of my gas, and then somehow I stuck the other 3 in. So now I have 4 grills and a pizza oven.
Yeah. But you use them all the time, right?
Yes.
You use them all the time. Yeah, it's a good story. Earlier in the show, someone said I was a little quiet on the mic. I think I was struggling a little bit with that earlier in the show. I just realized I had the audio processing enabled on StreamYard. I think I was testing that for somebody. I forgot to turn it off. Hopefully my audio's gotten a little bit better. Hopefully people could hear me tonight, and actually we'll fix that in the podcast, so it won't even matter. Mark, thanks for jumping in with us tonight. It's always great. Like I always, this tonight hasn't costed me any money just yet, so to speak. Yet. It almost always did. There's a couple shows where I actually bought stuff right online, and don't get me wrong. The last year, I've been looking around. Every store I go into that has grills, I've been waiting so Target sells some really nice Webers that are the kinds you like, with the for the charcoal at the bottom, the charcoal receptacle.
The catch pan.
The catch receptacle, 22 inch or whatever it is. And I've been waiting for those, and twice I missed those on clearance at the very end. I was like, you could pick them up for $99 or whatever on clearance at the end of the season. Maybe this fall will be the opportunity. Or Craigslist, you keep sending me every time we do a show for 2 or 3 weeks after it, you send me like, hey, there's a guy over there that's got one.
I went looking today, there was none.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna wait for the recovery a little bit and use what I have. But certainly as we pull out of this and we kind of move into a recovery posture for most people, very option. Are you guys feeling it pretty bad up there in Canada, or is it you feeling pretty good about it?
It depends on the industry you're in. I was on a WebEx a little while ago talking about it, and it was everything from bankers to HR people to high tech. I work in the water and wastewater industry, and we're a supplier and a integrator for that market. So we're still doing okay. From what we've heard, the projects are still going ahead because they're capital investments of infrastructure. They can't not do them. Communities are growing. They need to have more fresh water, and they need to have more treated water. So they have to go ahead with it. So we've been lucky. The guy that owns the company is a buddy of mine, and he's always said, it's very hard to outsource the creation of water.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Yeah.
we lucked into an industry that has to be local. It's also a very service oriented industry. So
Right.
for us, we're okay. Some of our suppliers are getting harder to get some products in.
Yeah.
But most of our suppliers are considered critical infrastructure also. So far we're okay. My wife works in the bank and she's not working right now because the bank she works in shut down the mall, or the mall she works in got shut down.
The mall shut down.
Yeah. So they moved her to another branch, but then that branch ended up getting doubled up with people. So it wasn't really safe either. They had more staff than they did customers.
Too close.
Yeah. So she's off, but there's just like you guys have, we got big stimulus checks going to everybody.
Yeah, and those just came in, and they've been coming all week for here in the U.S. They've been coming all week for people. I think I got mine yesterday, and unfortunately I owed in taxes this year about the price, about what we got in the stimulus check. Now, hey, listen, I'm not looking at gift horse in the mouse. That basically wiped out what I owed in taxes, and that's never a bad thing. But it's been interesting to say the least, and of course, you might be listening to this show a year or two from now, and it's all over. Hopefully we've made it. There's no zombie apocalypse, or I keep seeing people like, hopefully we'll get if there is a zombie apocalypse, hopefully get the ones from the Walking Dead and not the ones from zombie. What's the Z? No, the Z, something Z. It's Brad Pitt is in that one. The movie Brad Pitt.
It's going to come up in the chat.
Yeah, it will. But I can't believe I can't. It's just escaping me now. But those zombies can crawl and they're fast. We don't want those. We want the slow ones. If this is going to happen, I think we're going to be fine. I'll say this again. If you
World War Z, there
it is. If you're struggling through this, please don't take any of this as, extravagant or over the top. I was hoping tonight, and one of the things that I asked you, Mark, in the pre-show was, hey, when we start doing some of this stuff, can it be economical? And you were like, heck yeah. I mean, and some of the bigger qualities and some of the cuts of meats, it can be very economical. And so maybe this is a way. We're all cutting. We're all trying to figure out how to do this a little bit cheaper, and hopefully tonight has been a way. By all means, $1,000 grill might be out of order, but maybe the grill that you have can take some retrofits. And
I haven't bought a single grill other than my inexpensive Weber's. I haven't bought anything new. Everything I bought, I found used.
Yeah, another way to do it, and a way to be economical, and in a way to. We didn't even talk about some of the prep and the freezing and being able to, store it for long periods of time or whatever. And it can be a very kind of economical way to do it. Mark, stay around a little bit for some post show if you would, and we'll take some questions from folks that are out there. A couple reminders though, before you go. One, don't forget, I appreciate folks that support us on Patreon. If you go out to theaverageguy.tv/Patreon, we have a $5 plan. We also have some plans if you want to sponsor a leak or write a post. If you're in a business and you want to promote something, got a couple plans out there if you want to partner with us to get it done. I did, Mark. I got an email from one of these marketing folks. It's like, hey, your site could really use some optimization, and I was like, oh. I said, so I went to one of these free, link break, because broken links are a real big problem, right? You get penalized a lot on your site by Google if you have a lot of broken links. So I went out, and I don't do any of that stuff. I just post. I've gone back. I have 10 years of this kind of stuff, right? 10 years of show notes that Andrew wrote, 8 years ago, the links that God only knows if they actually work anymore. I had like 400 broken links on my site. And I was like, oh, maybe this is a project I can do when, a little bit at a time. But I do appreciate. Oh my gosh, it's going to take a while to go down and track all those broken links that are out there. If you want to join us in our Discord group, theaverageguy.tv/Discord, in the Facebook group, theaverageguy.tv/Facebook. The Discord group, honestly, is just more active right now. We have more channels, and there's a distributed computing and a cigar and Unraid and smart home and hardware. All that's out there. Barbecue is out there. I'm sure that's going to blow up this week as we're out there talking about it. So if you want to join us in Discord, theaverageguy.tv/Discord, and that does work now. Don't forget, you can send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. If you want to sponsor anything like the opening beer, you could do that as well. Just send me an email, and we'll figure out how to get that to you. Rate, subscribe, all that stuff on YouTube. Hit the like button down there if you would. We appreciate that. That helps us get discovered on YouTube, moves us up a little bit in the rankings. It does matter there. Reviews don't on iTunes, but the little like button down there does make a difference. So if you haven't done that, click on that here today. Don't forget the AverageGuy.tv platform with web and media hosting, powered by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust. Of course, that's Christian, and he does a great job for us. Now they have some redundancy in that network as well. MapleGrovePartners.com. Plans start as little as $10 a month, and you just get the greatest service ever. MapleGrovePartners.com. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. If you're here for the first time, come back on Thursdays. We do this every Thursday. It's not always barbecue. Next week, Erin Lawrence is with us talking about, she's also from Canada. I don't know what it is about folks from Canada, Mark. You guys just must be smarter, I think. And Erin Lawrence is back. We'll have a bunch of her reviews and be talking about, she's just a great guest. So we appreciate her coming on as well. The week after that, McCabe is back, all about the lawn. So he's gone nutso. I shouldn't say it that way. He's gone crazy on his lawn care. It's really nutso on his lawn care. And he's got a whole bunch of stuff he's put together. So think of this show with barbecue and grilling, 2 weeks, all about the lawn. So
and a crossover because he uses thermometers.
He does use thermometers he waits just for the right temperature of the soil before he applies his chemicals. And so we've got that coming up as well. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern out here at the AverageGuy.tv live. If you're listening live, stay around for a little bit of post show. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody. Man, I always learn so much, Mark. I want to go up and cook.
The hour and then what is it, hour and a half? Always fly by.
I know.
With no show notes prepped or no. I think this is the first show that Uyghur was on.
You might be right.
This is the first barbecue show I think Uyghur's made it to.
You might, you might be. Yeah, you might. Yeah, I don't even worry with you. I don't even worry about show notes anymore. It's like you're going to come with some pictures. We're going to have some great stuff to talk about. And
a lot of questions come from the chat too.
Yeah, Jim Shoemaker says he had a charcoal Weber for nearly 20 years before it rusted through. Replaced it with a Weber gas. Mark or Jim, how are you liking that Weber the gas grill?
They're good.
Are they?
Yeah. Well, depending, they have. It's like buying a GM. You can buy the cheapest at the bottom of the line, or you can buy the top of the line, and it can be a 10 times price multiplier. Where do you go? When you think about buying a grill, you said you bought all yours used. So you just, you buy them on eBay or Craigslist or what? We have something called Kijiji up here, which is like Craigslist. It's actually, I think it's owned by eBay. Actually, I know it's owned by eBay because some of the links actually say eBay in the links. But I go there or Facebook. Okay. But I'm actually on a Canadian pellet grill group up here on Facebook. Canadian pellet grillers have different issues than US guys do. Like we pay more for meat, we pay more for pellets, we pay more for grill. Like everything is just more. Yeah. So we don't want to hear about people going to Walmart and paying $3 a bag of pellets when we're paying $30 a bag. I got mine at Menards, and it was a big bag, and it was nothing. It was just super cheap. We pay $1.10 a pound. Yeah. I'm sorry, but you have free healthcare. Joe says you could cook meat in a hole in the ground. I haven't tried that yet. You could. Yeah. A lot of people do. In Mexico, they'll make a big fire, and it's got kind of a wood like in a triangle form, and then they spatchcock their chickens and cook them right over the fire. And you can get really good. I've never had this, but I've watched some shows on it. You can get some really good roadside chicken that way, and pork. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of pork down there. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so this Facebook group I think we just hit 3,000 people with it. Wow. Across Canada. I'm one of the moderators on it, so it's a bit of a good feeling to have that group, and it's a low BS thing. Anyways, one of the people on that pointed me towards a smoker that was for sale, and the guy was literally 5 minutes away from my house, and he worked at a company I just quit 3 months earlier. So if I hadn't quit, I would have been working with them. And I showed up and I'm like, are you so-and-so? He goes, yeah. Or, did you used to work here? I'm like, yeah. And it turns out that we knew a lot of people in common, and gave him got a deposit. I sold my other smoker that night to another guy off the same group. So I sold one at 4:00 and I picked up a new one at 7:00. So
it's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Joe says, growing up, we always used a grate and a few bricks. If you can control the fire, right? I mean,
I think that's what Kyle does it.
Yeah. Have you? Yeah, he does. He does. I've seen pictures of that.
Yeah.
Did you get in a couple of years ago, the rocket stove there was a big rocket stove craze. Did you get into that at all? Did you ever see one of those? Did you ever try one of those?
No, we had a fire pit in the backyard that we used to, and I've used charcoal in those fire pits. So when you have a barbecue all going on all day and the meat's flowing and the beer's flowing and you want to be able to have a fire somewhat safely, to do marshmallows in the night, I've just lit the chimney of charcoal and dumped it inside the fire pit. And that's quick and easy and fairly safe, and you get coals that people want to put marshmallows and winters over.
Well, and I've got one of those round fire pits that has a grill attachment to it. I would never do meat on it, but it works great for corn. So get a really hot fire going and then pull corn, and a lot of folks soak it, but I don't. We get really, I can buy it in the stores whole on the husk. And again, a lot of folks don't like they'll say, husk it, take it off, take the husks off. I like the husks on, and it kind of boils inside of itself and then those husks burn off. And by the time you get to the bottom, then you char your corn a little bit at the very end. It's so good. And then we cut it off and I throw it in a pan, throw a little bacon and butter in it. And oh my God, that is the best roasted corn I've ever had. It's just so good.
You ever done cooler corn?
No. How do you do that?
So if you're doing it, you wouldn't do it if you're doing it for like 2 people. But if you're having a barbecue and you want to serve 10, 12 people with corn, you husk all the corn, toss it into a clean cooler, fill the thing up or put a couple inches of boiling water into it, like a couple of kettles and a couple of pots of boiling water, close the lid and let it sit there for 20 minutes.
Okay.
And then everybody goes up, grabs the corn out. It's hot, it's done, it's ready.
That's a good idea.
We did that.
Good way to party do it.
Yeah, we did. We have a corn roast every year in August, and we do a barbecue in corn. And trying to do corn for 15, 20 people is getting a little hard in pots. So we take a cooler, toss the hot water into it. It's called cooler corn. Yeah,
I'll have to try it. That sounds like a good. I mean, I like to grill it, so we every chance we get, I'll throw it on the grill.
Yeah,
we do it on the burn off.
We do it on the barbecue for the 2 of us, or if we're having dinner for 4, we'll do it on the grill. But when we're doing a party, we do cooler corn.
Yeah, and take the husks off on that.
Yeah,
yeah. There's actually an easy way to. Have you ever with corn? Since I live here in Nebraska, everybody grabs that corn, you just start peeling it off, and all the, you get all the crap with it. And if you take a really sharp knife and just cut off the 2 ends, it just falls off. I was like, why did I ever think of this before? This is so dumb. It just falls off if you cut the ends off.
I picked corn for 4 summers as a summer job.
Yeah.
Handpicked. That was
pretty good corn though, when you pull it right out of the field, right?
Oh yeah. We had corn every night. That was part of the perks of the job, was that you came home with corn every night.
So this rocket stove craze from a couple of years ago, and there's still a few folks doing it. It's this 1, 2, 3 mechanism, right? Where you have a firebox in front, or you have an opening in front with some air, and then it goes up to a chute that's 2 or 3 times the size of the opening or whatever.
It's horn shaped. It's wider at the top, so it has Venturi effect.
Yeah, so it creates this draft, right? And it actually sounds. You can hear it kind of roaring.
Yeah,
and it takes a little bit of heat and kind of amplifies it. You get the most out of the heat that you have in there. You don't have to put a ton of wood in there. Kind of designed for countries that didn't have tons of fuel available. And it had gotten real popular. If you look at YouTube and just put rocket stove in, you'll see tons of people creating them.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos on them.
Yeah, and not necessarily one you'd grill. You wouldn't grill on that, but you could, you could warm things up or boil water or some of those kinds of things on it. And so I saw a guy build a rocket stove inside his grill. So he took half the grill that was already broken and he put a rocket grill on the side so he could be grilling on one side and cooking, or
hot water or something.
Hot water, whatever. Yeah, whatever you decide to do. Really good for coffee. If you're trying to perk coffee on the outdoors, in the outdoors or whatever. So,
we did. I've seen people using chimneys and doing steaks right on top of the chimney. So you take a chimney of coals, you put a grill, especially from the Weber. So the Weber grill I have has a removable center section. So it's a removable stainless steel grate. You put that on top of the chimney and you put your steaks on top of that. And that's like,
what's the advantage to that?
Super high heat.
Super high. Okay.
Like
1,000
degrees.
The chimney's focusing all that heat straight up, right?
And draft.
Yeah.
So it's pulling in from the bottom and shooting the hot air at the top. So your 1,000, 1,200 degrees.
Yeah.
So you can sear your steak pretty quick.
Sear like a pull it off.
You sous vide it or you slow cook it first, and then you toss it onto that to finish it off.
Have you have a sous vide?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys use it very much?
No.
Okay.
No, I've done it probably 4 or 5 times.
Involved.
Yeah, and
it's a little involved.
I'm doing the same thing with sous vide almost that I'm doing with my reverse searing.
Yeah.
So a little bit longer at lower temperatures, but like I'm doing my smoking at 180 degrees. So if I toss on a 3-pound rib roast or prime rib, or I do a 3-pound roast and sous vide, the sous vide might be 6 hours. The barbecue might be 2, but they're the same idea where they're both low temperatures, longer time, and then finishing off in cast iron. So
yeah,
I bought it because I like gadgets, but I haven't used it. We've made you take a can of condensed milk and you put it in the sous vide for, I think it's overnight, and it makes it makes a caramel type stuff that you use for banoffee pie, and I can't remember the name of the creme leche, something leche. And I'm having a mind for it right now. I can't remember the name of it. Dolce leche. So you can make your own dolce leche in it. We've done that. We've done salmon and chicken and some steaks and some roast and stuff. That roast we did on New Year's Eve that we showed sliced up was sous vide.
I think for some people, I hear a lot of people where it's very specialized, where they don't use it all the time, just because, like I said, you got to get it out. You got to get
put it in the counter, get the water.
Yeah.
It's great for reheating barbecue. So if you vacuum seal your barbecue that you've done, like brisket and pulled pork, and you sous vide it to heat it back up again, 20 minutes, and the thing is juicy, and you haven't lost any of your any of the flavor or any of the juice when you're cooking it.
Okay, hold on.
Just looking over the
there's
still a lot of people that have barbecue comments.
Yeah, Andrew says it's like trying to grill on a turbojet exhaust.
Yeah,
it's a little hot, but that there may be the you could should think about if you wanted to sear. Well, if you wanted to sear first,
you
could get that going, sear them, then drop the coals and direct or indirect cook them the rest of the way. Right.
What you do is you use it for your manifold steaks. So you put the steaks in the manifold, let them cook while you drive them to where you're going, then just finish them off on the.
Hey, when I was in the military, we warmed up many an MRE. Now
manifold
they had
food.
Yeah, in the engine compartment. You'd find that hot spot, put that thing in there, drive around for a while. Then when you get out, you're like, okay, it's probably warm enough now. Pull that packet out. And your chicken a la king or your spaghetti and meatballs was nice and hot. And it was kind of nice. Those meals cold aren't bad, but they're a lot better when they're warm.
And it's free heat, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just field heat,
Yeah.
And they had some heaters in the old days. They had heaters in there that you could use, but they were dangerous and nobody wanted to use them. And they just
kerosene powered.
Yeah. These were chemical based and they were weird. You would put these chemicals in there and drop it in the bag, and nobody trusted them. and so it was a little
It's some sort of catalyst, right? I've seen those before. Where you mix water and something together, and it would generate heat.
Yeah,
Exothermic reaction.
Put it in the bag, and those didn't last very long. I think too many people got hurt using those things. Just really smart. Humvee, we had just drew our Humvees back in those days. They were brand new, and there's a couple. So you'd start trying to find the hot spots of where we had a 916 tractor trailer, and they had an 8-foot perfectly flat hood on them, perfectly flat. And so you could put your bed mat up there, and it was wide enough for two. These were big tractor trailers. It was wide enough for two, and two guys could sleep up there with the engine running, and the hum, and then
the vibration,
and it would warm, it come through your mat, and it could be super cold, and you'd just be up there just living life large.
A little bit of heaven.
Yeah, you found some, you'd always find these little tricks when you're in the field to make it just have diesel on my meatballs, damn it.
Just oil.
Yeah, oily meatballs. Radiator fluid would suck as well. Yeah, well, you hope that you don't you're not trying to get these packets would be, they'd protect the food, so you wouldn't, even if it
the radiator fluid is sweet, right? So it's a little bit sweet.
The good kind of sweet, though. Not the good kind of sweet.
No,
not the good kind of sweet at all. All right. If you're listening live, thanks for joining us tonight, guys. I hope you're as hungry as I am. I know I'm kind of ready to go thaw those chickens and roast those bad boys. We talking this weekend about it, but we've had a full bona fide snowstorm out there. I mean, it looks like Christmas time. I mean, it's foggy and snowy, and here let me give you an update on the, we'll share my screen. Hold on. Let's give you an update on the snow out there. It's kind of dark. Look at that. I mean,
that looks like a blizzard.
It's kind of nasty. So anyway,
we're going to 52 on Saturday.
Yeah, I think we're in the 50s or 60s this weekend. So I think
that'd be our warmest day of the year so far.
Yeah, well, good for you.
We need it. We definitely need it.
You guys are in the snow up there. If you're listening live, thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next week. Remember, Aaron Lawrence is back next week. So 8 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. Come join us. We'll see you.